Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to give you a breakdown and review for the film HellBoy, The Crooked Man, which isn't out yet in the US and which is coming out in the UK on September 27th. There doesn't seem to be a US release date. However, I've seen it, and as I say, it's good to be a journalist with a growing YouTube channel. Anyway, before we get into the breakdown, I want to point out that this, of course, is the fourth Hellboy film. I guess it's another reboot after the one from a couple of years ago, but things are a little bit different this time because it's been adapted straight from a three-issue comic miniseries from 2008 written by the character creator Mike Mignola, or Mignola, not sure how you say his name. And he was involved with the script, so it's a pretty close adaptation. There are differences between how the story unfolds in the comics and how it unfolds in the movie. One of them being that in the movie, Hellboy is a younger version than we've seen before and younger than the version in the comic miniseries. But anyway, let's get into the breakdown. As the film starts, we find Hellboy in the Appalachian Mountains in 1958 with his fellow BPRD agent, Bobby Joe Song, aka Joe. Another change from the comics being that she's not in the comics. There they encounter Tom Farrell, a native of the region, returning for the first time in decades to atone for his youthful initiation as a witch. Farrell has never practiced magic, but carries a witch bone he acquired when he made a deal as a kid with the Crooked Man, who in the comics is an 18th century miser and war profiteer named Jeremiah Whitkins, though he's not named as such in the film, who was hanged for his crimes, yet returned from hell as the region's resident devil. And this witchbone has gotten him safely through his travels and his service in World War II. Hellboy, Tom, and Joe befriend Cora Fisher, a witch driven to magic by personal tragedy, and they encounter Effie Cobb, the youthful appearing witch who first initiated Tom years ago, causing his association with the Crooked Man. And she brings Tom his dying father, whom she's turned into a horse using a magic bridle, and then rode basically to death. Tom removes the bridle, turning his father back to human form, after which he immediately dies, causing Tom to resolve to take his father's corpse to a church up in the Hurricane, a part of the mountain dominated by the Crooked Man. Hellboy, Joe, and Cora accompany him. Along the way, as a result of a demonic attack, Cora dies. Joe, Hellboy, and Tom arrive at the church to find Cora's ghost waiting for them, as well as the church's pastor, the blind Reverend Watts. Effie and the region's witches surround the church, which they cannot enter, calling to Farrell to join them, as the Crooked Man arrives and demands Tom pay his debt. The Crooked Man attempts to tempt the Reverend to his side as well, with the restoration of his sight, and then appeals to Hellboy's demonic nature, saying they're more like each other than Hellboy is like the living, revealing he is after the bone in Tom's possession. After the Reverend infuses the Holy Spirit into the bone, he and Tom burn a cross onto a shovel's spade for Hellboy to use to dispatch the Crooked Man. The next morning, Tom's father is given a proper burial, and Tom and Hellboy go up to Whitkin's mansion to finish him off. Having accomplished that, they later find Effie reduced to a feeble old woman from losing her power as a result. Tom ignores her pleas for mercy and puts the magic bridle on her, turning her into a horse with "Beware, I'm a witch" painted on her side. And so that's where the movie ends. And I have to say that I liked this movie quite a bit. The trailer had me thinking, I don't like who they cast as Hellboy, and, it doesn't seem like the Hellboy movies from before. It's very different. It seems very Blair Witch meets Evil Dead, and that's exactly what it is. The thing is, I didn't know how much I needed a movie that is Blair Witch meets Evil Dead. And this movie is definitely that, and it's very good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. It's very creepy rather than just bombastic like the first couple of films were, with crazy action scenes and ugly creatures and, various human characters maneuvering, for supremacy or whatever. This was just a straight up creep fest in the frickin' woods. And I really, really enjoyed it. I still don't think they should have cast who they cast as Hellboy. I don't think he makes a good Hellboy. The thing is that for me, it didn't really matter because the movie was really good. He didn't have to be Hellboy of all Hellboys for me to enjoy it. The story was just good. I really liked it. In the beginning of the movie, it's very exposition heavy, like exposition on steroids. And I think that's because they had to cram a lot of lore into the film that probably took longer to unfold in the miniseries, the comic miniseries. So it's a little exposition heavy in the beginning. You are told more than you see, but if you can follow the bouncing ball, they do a good job of building the lore of the story, and it all, weaves in very well. And it just makes the film creepy, so I really liked it. The woman who plays Cora had a very thick, like mountain person accent, so it was hard to understand her at times. And the same for the preacher as well, but that could just be my ear. So you have to check it out to see if you have the same issue. There are a lot of moments in the film that I left out of my breakdown, so to get the whole picture, you have to see it. And I do recommend seeing it if it's ever actually released in the US. Again, there's no date at this point, although it is coming out in the UK, which, is another English language country, of course, on the 27th of this month, September. So I don't know if it's going to be a simultaneous US release or what, but there doesn't seem to be any information on that. I would say definitely see it if you're a fan of Hellboy. Like I said, Jack Kesy doesn't do a great job, but he's passable. And if you're a fan of, horror in the woods movies, I mentioned Blair Witch, but like I said, there's Evil Dead as well, and it's kind of like a blend of those two because Blair Witch, of course, didn't have demons, but it took place in the woods. Evil Dead did have demons and also took place in the woods. So it's a blend of those two and a couple of other cabin in the woods type horror movies, but it's very creepy and I liked it a lot, and you should check it out whenever it comes out, if ever. But that's really it. I'm gonna get out of here before I start repeating myself any more than I already have. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.